Good morning. We got to start getting more people in sales meeting. Hopefully everyone's busy.
All right, this is DJ. That's the other one.
You guys know each other now? All right. We're going to play a video. It's a little longer than normal. I got a little bit less to talk about than normal, which I guess is good since you guys, the important people here, but nobody else is here. I think you all know I'm a karma guy. So I'm watching, I'd sent Brooke a video last night to play for sales meeting. And I'm watching, who's talking? Georgie? Don't think you're too old for us to call out. So I'm watching Darren Daly. Chris, you too. And right before I was watching Darren Daly, I got a quote of the day from Zig Ziglar. And the quote was, my God, could you print that any smaller?
I know, sorry.
It's a really important quote to make me look this hard. I got to put my cheaters on. Holy cow.
You guys are getting mad.
Zig Ziglar, if you're going to quit anything in your life, quit making excuses. And then Darren Daly is kind of talking about the exact same thing. And then Corky sends me a text and asks me something. And he says, hey, did you watch ESPYs? I said, yes. And so I'm going to play this video real quick for the guy that won, I think it was the Jimmy V Award? For the Jimmy V Award. And all three of these things are really tied into each other.
Coach Rob Mendez.
It was a moment that brought everyone to their feet. When Rob Mendez Jr., a high school football coach born without arms or legs, came on the stage. A moment at last night's ESPYs that should have been impossible.
It's honestly been hard for me to fathom receiving this award, to be recognized alongside heroes. And if there's any message I want to give you guys tonight, it's to look at me and see how much passion I put into coaching and how far it's gotten me.
The road harder than most could fathom, one full of heartbreak, faith, and football.
At this time, I just want to introduce to you a coach that I hired because I was impressed with his knowledge of the game. Your new coach, Rob Mendez.
Mendez was born May 9th, 1988, with a rare condition known as tetraamelia.
It was really, really awful. I didn't have a choice to have an abortion, so I had to keep Robert.
In the back of my mind, I'm asking why my son? You know, less than 100 born like him in the world. What am I going to do with this boy?
I really didn't want to see Robert, so I didn't see little Robert for about 2 weeks because I didn't know what to do.
But he's different.
How about your wrist? Yeah!
He sees people staring as an opportunity.
Robert was just a really easy child.
Daniel.
And he just was really, really happy.
What's your favorite team? San Francisco 49ers.
He's got a gift that doesn't require him to be physical. Making him aware of that, I think he just took the ball and ran.
I think the most difficult part about having no arms and no legs is simply not being able to play sports. I don't show it. I'm good at not showing it. But yeah, I get mad. I get mad at God. I get mad at the Lord. I mean, like, why?
His freshman year, and he was standing behind the fence at a distance watching them practice. That was the beginning.
We wanted to get him involved in the program, so we invited him to be our manager.
They obviously knew I couldn't play, but just to include me, they made me feel a part of it. You know, it made me feel, I guess you can say, normal.
He paid attention to us as coaches, but he learned the game playing Madden football. He created game plans on Madden, and then he'd come to practice and try to create the same game plans and execute them the same way.
For 12 years, Rob worked as an assistant, waiting for a head coaching opportunity. Then, in 2014, a school hired him to be the offensive coordinator of their JV team. It was a chance to prove himself.
It was my first game going into the second half. The head coach wanted me to change the play calling style and run the ball more. We didn't score one more touchdown, and we lost 35-14. And the part that really rubbed me the wrong way was that he put the blame on me in front of the kids. I mean, after only one game, I was out of a job. I stayed in my room for 2 days. I was sad, and I didn't know if I was gonna ever be a head coach or if I was gonna continue coaching.
But as Rob does, he picked himself up, carried on, and in April of 2018, interviewed for his first head coach position with the Prospect High School junior varsity team.
When I go to a job interview, sometimes I feel like I'm gonna, scaring's not the right word, surprise them. And I don't know how they're gonna take the surprise.
As he rolls out, to be brutally honest, when I first saw that, I'm like, how can this guy coach? And as he comes close, he goes, give me a fist pump, give me a fist pump. I just gave him a little fist pump right there on his shoulder, and all that nerves that I had was just melted away.
I knew I've been ready for it, and I've been overlooked, and finally someone gave me the opportunity, so I really appreciated that. This is gonna be my 13th year coaching, and I can't wait to get to know every single one of you. Believe in yourself, believe in your teammates, and believe in what you're doing.
If you're taken back, that's just natural and that's human. But after the first 2 seconds, it's just a normal guy.
Though he may not look like a coach, he definitely acts like one.
So what we're gonna teach right now is called 31 zone.
On his phone, he could diagram a play faster than I could do with pen and paper.
There's definitely doubters out there, like parents. Oh my God, my son is getting coached at quarterback from a guy that has no arms and no legs. 1, 2, plant. Good. That lights a fire under my butt.
One thing I care about more than anything is being a family. That is one thing I take pride on. So if you guys can't show love on this football field, then you better get off of it.
Things that you and I take for granted, like brushing your teeth, or washing your face, or taking a shower, or going to the restroom, Robert needs someone to help him. But he's tough.
Me being challenged has been my motivation.
Who says I can't? Nobody! Who says I can't? Nobody!
Who Says I Can't originally came from me just having a drive to accomplish whatever people doubted me for.
Who says I can't? Nobody! Who says I can't? Nobody! Yeah!
If he's willing to do all of that, then what are we willing to do?
Keep it up! Let's go!
After losing their first game, Prospect went on to win 7 in a row, outscoring their opponents 151 to 32.
He just really has done a job that I haven't been able to see other coaches do at that level before.
Remember this! I'm proud of every single one of you! But damn it, we're not done yet!
Kick on the way, has the distance, and it's good. Sobrano takes the division title with a win this afternoon over Prospect.
Okay.
I really sincerely want you guys to understand how much I appreciate this.
Our opponents, they'd always doubt him because they see a man in a wheelchair. To us, we see our coach who's perfect.
When we're pushing him off the field after games, makes me feel like proud to have him as my coach.
I love those kids, and I'm always going to remember them.
I think we make a perfect team. Can we agree on that?
Yes, Coach.
Can we agree on that?
Yes, Coach.
Who says I can't?
Nobody.
Who says I can't?
Nobody.
Who says I can't?
Nobody.
Yeah!
Back on stage at the ESPYs, as the greatest athletes of our time looked up at Rob in awe, the true titan in the room unleashed one last battle cry.
Who says I can't? Nobody! Yeah!
You know, we talk in mastermind groups, and I do coaching sessions all the time with people, and we always talk about, we know what to do in the real estate, right? We know we got to prospect. We know we got to consistently do these little things to be productive, to grow our business to the next level. But we all procrastinate. We make up excuses. And I say all, which is probably pretty much all of us in some part of our life where we make up excuses for things. We have these roadblocks. And so Darren Hardy was talking about, you know, this morning, it's just all about mindset. right? That we've got to knock these things out. And why do we procrastinate? Because we make, the fear of failure, the fear of how other people react, or whatever it is, or we think we're bugging people. I hear that all the time. I don't want to call them because I think I'm bugging them. We got to knock these things down, and all these problems exist in our own head. So we got to figure out, how do we stop making excuses to figure out how do we do what we need to do to help us be more productive to grow our business to the next level. So I love that video. I hope you guys enjoyed that. We got to figure out how to promote sales meeting better. So
Yeah.
I don't know what we're going to do, but we'll figure it out. So I don't think I read these last week. Brooke, you don't think I did? Okay. 20 things. Did I read this to you guys? 20 things we should say more often?
Yeah.
I thought I did. I'm going to say it again then. We've been a hot mess on sales meeting this week. I love you. I believe in you. And that's what I think he talked about, right? He talked about you got to believe in yourself, you got to believe in each other, you got to be a team, and his passion was incredible. You are worthy, you deserve it. The best is yet to come. Stay positive. I was wrong, I'm sorry. Please, how can I help? I am here for you when you want to talk. You can do it. You've got to get this, and you've got this, and God's got you. Please forgive me. I forgive you. I've got your back. I'm open to your feedback. Make me better. You're not alone. Even if we disagree, we can still be friends. You matter. Thank you. There is greatness inside of you. So as we move forward, let's sit down and analyze what we need to be doing to grow our business, whether it's our personal life, our business life, or any aspect of our life. There's all things we can be doing to improve our health, to improve our spirituality, to improve our business. Figure out what those things are, and then don't just dive in and try to do it full force. Take little baby steps, right? If you're not making 25 calls a week right now to your center of influence, don't start by making 25. Start by making 1 a day, right? Which is 5 a week, and work yourself up to it. Get to a point where it becomes a habit, it becomes consistent, it becomes something that's second nature to you, and when you start doing those things, you'll start seeing the results of those things. So we know if we do those little things consistently over time on a regular basis, they're going to become a habit. And so 3 months later, all of a sudden, you don't think about it. It just becomes natural. So take baby steps. Don't take a huge, giant step in the beginning. Take baby steps to the things you need to be doing. Do I need to do the handwritten notes? Do I need to be doing those face-to-face? What do I need to be doing on social media to connect with people differently? Take those little things and start doing them consistently. So let's think about those things. Let's talk about those things, and let's figure out what are the roadblocks, what are the hurdles and the obstacles in our way. Let's knock them down. Let's figure out how to get around them, and let's stop making excuses. And the one thing that every single one of us does is we procrastinate. Let's stop putting it off till tomorrow. Todd, do you want to come up and Todd asked for a couple minutes. We've lost some people for the Sunshine Kids golf event here. We need to fill this thing up. So he said some commitments I think we had have backed out. Is that right? So we've got a handful of teams we need to still fill. So give him a speaker, and he's going to preach for a while.
Usually I'm last. I thought about ways to increase participation and attendance. I thought about coming up here. I'd be emotional. I could cry. That was supposed to be a joke. Anyway. If you don't golf, it's okay. You can pull out your phone and call one of your affiliates, an inspector, an insurance guy, loan officer, anybody. We currently have 33 sponsors signed up and 22 paid. So those 10 that haven't paid, that they don't have a logo, I don't really count those yet. We typically have 33 to 35 sponsors, and this year we have 22. So I need your help. We had 49 teams sign up. I think we're at 44 now, 35 paid. So we'll get to 40. I'd like to get to 45. I was hoping since we doubled our company that we could fill 54 teams. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. We're going to probably raise 20,000 at least. So I think that's still good. We also need raffle items. So I'll give you an example. Teresa Toma just went on her normal day. She goes to Come and Go every day. She got a $25 gift card. She got an oil change. She got a free oil change. She went to the grocery store. She got 3 $10 gift cards. And she didn't have to go out of her way. She just did her normal day. I go to Oscars once a week. I get an Oscars gift card. So stuff like that for raffle items. We should have about 70 raffle items, that includes pin prizes and team prizes. So another example, last night I sent 6 text messages and only 1 guy responded. So 5 people didn't even say, I'm busy, which is fine. But if you can help, if you can get a team, if you can do anything to help, it would be awesome. It takes just your normal day, normal routine. If you sell a house today, when you call your inspection company, ask them if they'll sponsor a hole, $250. All we need is a logo. That's it, and a check. So if you can help, that would be super awesome. If there's anything I can do, I'll actually make the phone calls. Go ahead, Mark. I'll sponsor a hole. All right, perfect. That'd be great. I'll harass you for a check in a little bit. So the event is August 5th. It's a shotgun at 10:45. It includes lunch and dinner. It's $500 per team. It's really fun. And to me, it's not about the golf. It's about where the money goes. And I think a lot of the money stays for our local kids with cancer to send them on dream vacations. So I think it's awesome. I used to be good. I'm not good anymore. But I'm golfing just because I like support. I like the charities. So
It's best to golf if you're not good. This is the chance to do it.
Yep, Brooke even has a team. If you can help me, just call or text me, send me an email. I'm here. I'll make your phone calls for you. I'll just leverage your name. So pretty much just have 1 week to fill the spots. So if you can help me, please do. I'm going to...
And we've got a lot of the teams we're going to still be calling that have not got spots, so I'm going to help with that. But remember, again, at the end of the day, it's about going out and having fun. It's not about being a good golfer. And ultimately, at the end of the day, we're doing our Sunshine Kids event every 2 years now. So we're not doing one this year. So you're not going to be giving money to our event. We won't have that this September. We'll have that next September. So this is really the only big Sunshine Kids event we're doing this year.
And Flip House.
And the Flip House, which we're heading down the right path. I'll give you an update on that real quick. But it's August 1st?
August 5th. It's a Monday.
5th.
Yep.
And that's at Tiburon?
It's at Tiburon.
And
So-
Bob does a great job of getting us out of there by, it's not an all-day.
Nope, it's bogey. Once you get to a bogey, you pick your ball up and go to the next hole. It's not you get 7s and 8s. It's just people just keep rolling through it. It's 5-hour round. You have a lunch and a dinner. We have do the raffle prizes at the end. Everyone walks away saying it's the best event that they go to just because it's not the board where it takes 7 hours to get through. It's not that. It's 5 hours. That's it. We're done. So.
The sponsors, $250 for a hole.
Mm-hmm.
What other sponsors?
Well, he still needs golf groups at $500 a foursome.
So another example, Steve Winterhoff is a lender that I refer business to. He gave us $1,000 towards dinner. He also have a $500 team, and he's a $250 hole sponsor. He gave us $1,750. Awesome. ATS gave us $1,000, so everyone that golfs gets their first drink is free. They also do a team, and the hole sponsor another $1,750. Those are 2 of our biggest sponsors, and they're awesome. So. Anyone, and you don't have to do all that. Just do something small. Give me a raffle prize. Give me a sponsor. Anything.
Put a foursome together.
Yep. Yeah, Megan Owens, I need you to golf.
Short people can do it, right?
Yes. Deb Ellis, I just brought a buyer to your listing. We got a contract, so you owe me a sponsor. Anyway, I'll let you go, but if you can help me, please do. It's so stressful, and I got to start working again, pay the bills. So,
and I want Todd to quit walking up to my office every day saying, I need more foursomes, I need more sponsors.
Yeah, my latest complaint is the 2 largest teams in our company have a total of 0 teams committed to the golf event, and it's like, holy cow, you can't find 4 people, and they have 100 days between the 2 teams.
So that'll shame someone into it.
Does anybody need an extra player? TJ O'Leary needs a team.
And Corey Cutchell has 3 people, and he needs 1 more player too. So.
Well, we can. If you don't put to that point, if you don't put a team together, if you want to play, we'll get 4 people to play together.
100%.
So if you just want to play as an individual, we'll help coordinate that. All right. Thank you, Todd.
I'll leave you alone. Please help. Have a good day.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Todd.
I do, and when Todd says this, it's stressful, he's not kidding. I mean, the truth is, one of the reasons we only do the Sunshine Kids event every 2 years, because it is stressful, right? Mamie says she's going to quit every year, and then we shame her back into it. But Todd, thank you very much, because we do know it takes time, energy, and effort. It does take you away from your business and your family and so forth, so we appreciate that. Is Deb doing 2 teams? Is that what the hug was about? All right. We are going to have, I think this is our 4th time on this, but Regency open house is tomorrow, 4 to 7. We kept running into conflicts with board events, with WCR, with everything else. So love to get you down there. There's still some improvements to the exterior that's going to need to be done. I'm not sure if the sign will be up or not. I'm not sure if the entrance is going to be done, but the inside of the space is done. It's very cool. It's very modern. Again, we want you to be able to also, hopefully everybody knows we've got new copiers. This was I did not like this decision, but I hope you guys love this decision. It was a very expensive decision, but we've got new copiers everywhere. The Regency office has new copiers. We got new copiers. They're faster. They say they're more durable. So I think on every floor here, we have one that actually has a stapler. Anyone that came from CBS, I don't want to hear anything about staplers anymore, okay? If you have complaints about staplers, go to Scott.
I'll get you a stapler.
and he'll give you $5 to go to Staples to get a stapler. But absolutely. So we've got the SARP. So your fobs now should work at getting in to the Sarpy County office, to the Regency office, and to this office by October, or hope maybe September. The Council Bluffs office, I think we're finally done with that lease negotiation. We're going to be completely redoing that space, and we'll have a place for you to be able to get a fob in there. So the copiers, the door fobs, you're going to be able to utilize those at all those spaces now. So we feel really good about what we have for copiers and kind of the uniformity throughout that whole process. So I hope everybody enjoys that.
And if you haven't been out to Regency yet, really tomorrow, use it as an opportunity to get out there before you meet with your clients for the first time. Get yourself familiar with the office and use it as a spot. There's conference rooms there at the Regency, but show up tomorrow and we'd love to see it.
Yeah, invite another agent to go down with you. Builder Blitz, who did the Builder Blitz? I think, what do we have, 40-some? So some of you, how was your activity? Good activity. I've heard some people had average activity. Average. Bad activity. So, did you guys like that we did that? I mean, and so we need to, those of you that did not have good activity, what we need to do is we need to figure out what do we do to promote it better, broader, through social media, through whatever it is. And I think it's through social media. And so if we got to boost it more, if we've got to target more, whatever. But I want to continue to do this on a regular basis, once or twice a year, where we do these type of things, where we can draw attention to these things. I think it's good for us to build relationships with our builders, letting them know that we're reaching out, trying to do something together to draw attention to it. And I think just for the public thing, when we do these type of things, it's good in the public side to see that we're doing these things. So we've got to continue to learn and grow from these things. So give us feedback, please. Shoot feedback off to Maggie, Brooke. We'll look at that thing and figure out what can we do. Any ideas that you have of how we can promote this better without spending tens of thousands of dollars, we're open to, because we want these to be successful. If we're going to spend the time, energy, and effort on these things, and you're going to spend the time on these, we want these to be successful for you, okay? Escalation clauses. I asked 3 or 4 people about this yesterday, and we've got this multi-offer escalation clause, and when I read it, I was confused, but that's not saying much. Brian and Scott read it the exact same way, and I said, Brian, of course you read it that way because you wrote it. So I expect you, if you don't read it that way, then we really got a major problem. But when we have these escalation clauses, which we're still continuing to have, right, make sure that everyone's on the same page. And so the conversation was, in the event of multiple offers on a property, a buyer. So let's just say a buyer's asking the seller to pay $3,000 of their closing costs, for argument's sake. Okay, the buyer will match a competing net offer, and then that's defined. Net offer is defined in here as purchase price minus seller's paid closing costs for competing buyer, okay? And increase this net offer to the seller by, let's say, $1,000 over whatever the highest next net offer is, up to a maximum purchase price of $200. So let's say we're saying up to a purchase price of $200, and they're paying $3,000 of the buyer. The seller's paying $3,000 of the buyer's closing costs. So the question I had, which the more I read it, the more I agree, is that they're saying really the net in that case is $197 because it's $200,000 offer, and you're asking the purchase agreement for them to pay $3,000. So we need to make sure that the listing agent understands that you're only paying a net of $197. Because the question was, okay, is the buyer willing to pay up to $203 because it's $200,000 plus the $3,000, and that's not the case. Any questions or thoughts on that? Because then I think Ralph was sitting in Brian's office. He says, this is confusing when I'm talking to agents. There is confusion on what is the net number that the buyer's willing to pay on these type of things. So now if there's no confusion, let's leave it alone. If there's confusion, we'll maybe try to figure out how to clarify the verbiage on it. Yes?
Just one quick question. Would it include if they're asking for a seller to pay for home warranty?
Yes. So it's basically, so two things for me to be concerned about is one is what are the costs the seller's paying for the buyer, and those need to be deducted out to give what the net number is, okay? And so if you're saying I'm gonna pay $1,000 more, and you just say I'm gonna pay $1,000 more up to $200,000, and the other offer is in there at $200,000, but they're paying $3,000 in closing costs, then based on that, you would basically say that's a net of $197. You're going to pay $1,000 more than that, which would be $198. So, but I think that you need to make sure that everyone's clear in this whole process when you're talking to the listing agent, so they clearly understand here's what my seller is willing to pay up to, but only if you've got proof that you've got a net offer of X. Yes?
You're not restricted because it's an escalation clause offer. Your seller can counter back at whatever they want to counter.
You can handle it just like a normal offer, really.
Say that again, Brian, for those on the back side.
Well, I just wanted to say that you're not restricted by an escalation clause. When you get one with an escalation clause, a lot of people kind of panic. Like, what is the actual offer here, and what do I do? How can I just do what your seller wants to, as far as a net. You don't care what that offer is, really, as long as your seller has to net out a certain amount or whatever they want for their house. They get to pick and choose what they want to do, whether work with the escalation clause or just counter back with what they want.
Right. And so that's often if you have multiple offers and there's different benefits to one offer versus the other, a lot of time that's our recommendation, is just say, listen, we're going to counter back this one first, and just say, listen, we're going to counter you back. There's a little differences on closing dates and times and other things that may be important to the buyer, personal property that could be important to the buyer or seller, and counter back to the one, and then that way you don't even have to worry about showing the other contract because it's a counter, it's not really applying to the escalation clause. The other thing that I've heard that there becomes confusion on is if we use this example of $200,000, is if there's an offer that comes in at $190, $192, and $195, okay, then some people think, well, $195 is the top number, but if there's one that says I'll go up to $200,000, another one says I'll go up to $202, well, you go above those initial offers. So you just keep adding $1,000 to the next one. It's just like a ladder climbing up the thing. So if you get confused on any of those type of things, please grab Scott or Heather or Brian or I or one of us so we can talk through that with you, okay? Any other questions on that? I thought I saw another hand up somewhere. Yes?
So the escalation clause does not go into effect until it's signed, though.
The escalation clause does not go into effect until it's signed? Right, until it's accepted. Yeah, so the addendum is written, typically the addendum is written by the buyer, and then, yes, then if the seller accepts that escalation clause, basically you've got to go back then. If you've accepted that escalation clause, now you do have a responsibility to show what that other net offer was to that buyer so they know what their number is.
So you have 2 or 3 or however many contracts with the escalation clause.
Yes. And so if you have 2 or 3, you basically got to show that they said they would go up to 200. You said you'd go up to 202 with $1,000 above that. So even though they started at their price at 193, they were willing to go up to 200. So the price ends up being 201 in that case because it's $1,000 more than the highest max escalation clause of the multiple offers.
So as Brian said, you can pick the best one of the bunch that looks the best to you and deal with that one, not even.
Right. And that eliminates a lot of the confusion many times, just to counter back the best one and just say, for clarity, here's where I'm countering back, and then you don't have to go through showing other offers.
So my question with that is, where do we stand as far as that other agent saying we want proof of this other offer? You know, like,
Well, if you counter back, you don't have to give proof, because if you counter back, you have no legal obligation to give proof. If you counter back and say, listen, my seller is going to counter your offers, they have multiple offers, they're not using this escalation clause thing, they're countering back at $200,000, paying no closing costs, closing date to be August 15th. That's a counterback. There's no obligation at that point in time to be talking about or showing them any proof of the escalation clause at that time.
So I can only imagine the only time.
That's a song, I Can Only Imagine.
Yeah. I can only.
Not sang by Scott.
The only time you wouldn't want to counter back with a final number is if you were concerned that the buyer was going to withdraw the offer. You just want to sign it and be done with it. That would be the only time that it doesn't make sense to do an addendum that said, or a counter that says, okay, I'm going to take your offer at $202,000, no closing costs, that's it. That would be the only time I think you'd sign it as is, because then you'd be accepting their offer versus countering back to them.
Yes.
Well, don't you think maybe on these, even on the escalation clause, if you're going to use that, you should come back with final purchase as per the escalation clause, final purchase price is this.
Yeah, so Brian's saying if you're going to use escalation clause, again for clarity, you can't over communicate these things, right? It's best to come back and say final purchase price per the escalation clause is this. The other best net offer was this. And then you've clarified that, and at that point in time, Ryan, you would be obligated to show that other offer, the terms of that other offer.
so in that situation, you know, like that other person obviously probably doesn't want their name or whatever on that.
No, you don't show their name. You just show the terms of that contract. You just show the part that shows here's the price and here's what they're asking for closing costs, to show what the net offer was on that other one, and that they were, and probably just the body of their escalation clause saying, if hopefully everybody's using an addendum, and that addendum, if you can white out the names, shows that they are willing to pay they're willing to pay $1,000 over up to a certain number. Yes.
So why wouldn't you show it? Given that, why wouldn't you show the other offer? Doesn't it look kind of shady if you're like, well, no, I can't show them? We counter.
Well, I'm just saying, if you counter back, you have no obligation to show the other offer. If your seller still says, I want to show the other offer, you can. I think you should always white out, because I don't think we have permission to show that the other offer was from John Doe. Actually, I would say we probably don't have permission, so I think you always need to white out the name of the other potential buyer. But yes, but there would be nothing wrong with you doing that.
I typically still do if it's asked for, because otherwise.
If you're utilizing the escalation clause, you're clearly obligated to show the other offer. If you counter back, you're not obligated, because you've basically thrown out the escalation clause.
Okay, let's say I'm not obligated, and yet the buyer still wants to see it, and I come to you, would you tell me to go ahead and send it to them, or you would say?
So if the buyer comes back and says, I want to see that, would you show it? I would say we countered back, but then I would ask my seller, and I would do what my seller wants to do.
Well, what if they're like, well, what should we do? How should
Well, but because here's the bottom line: is if you counter the bottom, and if I would tell the seller, let's go ahead and show it to him. But if you're countering back, remember, you don't have an accepted offer. What Scott just said is, if you're countering back, you don't have an accepted offer. That buyer can say no, or they can counter back and say no. I'm only going to pay you $197. So that the buyer has no obligation to accept the counter. That's the thing you got to remember. That's the risk you run in countering back. To Scott's point is, if you want this thing done and someone's got an escalation clause, then you just accept the escalation clause, you accept the contract as is, and then you show them what the second offer was. And then you have to show it. Last question.
Just because you write an offer, it doesn't matter what the price is, what the terms are, the seller doesn't have to accept it. It can be $10,000 more.
Exactly.
If that seller doesn't want to work with that buyer.
Right. Seller has the right to counter back at anything they want. Buyer has the right to accept that counter or not accept that counter. I mean, it's a state of negotiation. Nobody's obligated on either side to accept the terms of the other thing. Yes, last question. This is the last question.
Deb Sizek in our mastermind, we were speaking about this just 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
And how
What did Deb say? I want to know her wisdom. Right. Because she doesn't know. So whatever she said is probably wrong.
causing trouble, you know, how those kind of
how the escalation clauses are causing confusion
or panic.
Yeah.
And while they have decided just to, like we're talking about, ignore it by not signing it, and countering with your offer. Are you willing to go here?
Right.
And now you're not obligated to do the escalation clause.
Yeah, I typically think the counter is the simplest part, and it gets rid of a lot of the confusion, because I think there's a lot of confusion on escalation clauses, to be honest with you. So, more than I thought, I guess. This really is the last question, I promise. Lori, slap her if she asks another question.
I'm writing for my buyer, okay? So I'll ask you, what should I do? So, are you better off just coming in with a strong number to purchase, using the escalation?
So Chris said, I'm writing for my buyer. I'm going to have Joe stand up and speak here in a minute. And then you're going to have to give us all free tacos. Nettie's, right?
Yes.
Nettie's is her son's place, so go down. They're great. I love Nettie's. The question that Chris asked was, the buyers always say, what should I do? And the question is, are you better off, and this is up to each one of you to talk through with your buyer. Are we just better off coming with a strong offer and not having the escalation clause? Because there are some people of the mindset, they don't like the escalation clause. I think it's because they honestly kind of become confused in it. And the argument is, well, why didn't you just make your best offer? Why are we doing this game? So there's different mindsets, and you can't control how a seller thinks or how the listing agent thinks on that. So there's an argument in cases just saying, yes, let's just come in and say, listen, we're not doing an escalation clause. We're going to pay $198,000, no closing costs. What do you want to do? If they don't like it, they can counter me back. Right? Because the seller would still have the right to do that, even though if one of those offers comes in. Because usually if you get 4 or 5 offers, they're not all escalation clauses. So the seller has the buyer always has the right to put the best foot forward. The truth is, from a buyer's perspective, if they can pick it up for $193 versus $198, they would like to try to say that. So they're kind of hedging their bet on this thing a little bit. All right, Georgie, then I promise we're not asking no more questions on this subject. We can go to another subject and ask questions.
One thing I think people aren't reading into the escalation clause is the fact that if somebody else has waived the warranty or the home inspection, and that also...
Well, that's what I was trying to say earlier. There is other issues with personal property. There is, Georgie's point is, in the escalation clause, if someone's waiving the home inspection, someone's waiving the warranty, cash buyer. There's a lot of other factors, and that's the reason I'm typically the biggest fan of countering back the one that you like the terms best of, because it's not all just about price. There's closing date that can matter to the seller. There's financing that can matter to the seller. There's personal property that can matter. There's a lot of other factors in that process. So you need to discuss this whole thing with everybody. So, all right. If you have any questions on this, grab Scott, Brian, and I all talked about this yesterday. Grab one of us and we'll have a conversation. Yes?
What's an escalation clause?
Shut up. If you don't know, we've got a major problem. I can tell you that right now. We were hoping to get out the sales rankings for the first 6 months. We've got them done preliminary. We don't have them done, so we'll float those out here over the next week, unless Carrie walks in here in the next 10 minutes with updated ones. Update on, I want to talk about Care Fund, and then I want to do an update on what's going on, because I continue to get texts from you. I'll do it the opposite way. Just don't let me forget about the Care Fund. The letters that we've sent out, in the conversations we've had, I had one of you send me a text about a Nebraska Realty property that was at 2.0. It ended up being in Saunders County. I think Scott and I looked into this. Saunders is not one of the, we basically have said we're dealing with, in the conversations we've had, again, we've got commitments out of Nebraska, so I did reach out to Andy at Nebraska Realty and said, hey, have you changed your company policy on this? He says, no, we haven't. That's Saunders County, in Lincoln, we are doing 2.0. We're not in Omaha, but we've kind of defined in the letters we've sent out as Dodge, Douglas, Sarpy, Washington, and Cass. We've got some gray area on what we're doing on Council Bluffs, because then I am getting some of you coming in saying, well, Dodge, who's telling us they're paying 2.4, is paying 2.0, I believe, in Council Bluffs. So that's what I'm working on right now. We've got great clarity on anybody that's doing over 1% market share in the metropolitan Omaha area. Lincoln is basically 2.0. It's the Wild Wild West down there. Council Bluffs is what I'm working on next. So I'll make calls over the next week and see if the brokers that have agreed to do this out of Omaha, if they've got operations over in Council Bluffs, can we get them to also agree to the 2.4 as a minimum payout on Council Bluffs. So stay tuned for that. Again, please, the one thing we've decided, because we don't want to get into an antitrust lawsuit, is we're not going to go pick on, we have seen a couple one-man companies and two-man companies. We've decided it probably, talking this through with legal counsel, makes sense not to be sending out letters to one and two-man companies. So we've left them alone. EXP has changed their company policy, but after that deal, which I still went back and I can't get them to pay on that. Dodge changed their company policy after a deal. So the bad thing is a couple of you got paid less than 2.4. I think the good news moving forward is they're clearly on warning that they're going to be penalized, that if they do that moving forward and change their company policy, which they clearly have the right to do, right? We can't discuss or tell anybody what to charge as commissions, what to charge as payouts. That's up to them to make their own decisions as a broker. But moving forward, those in Omaha, they're going to be paying 2.4, and in the event they don't, we're going to be paying them 2.0 on every one of our listings that they would sell. So it's been a work in progress, but I keep getting things like that. So please, 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 especially in Omaha, and I'll give you an update on what we end up with Council Bluffs. Care Fund. I hope everyone in this room knows what the Care Fund is. Trish, Jason, you two want to come up here real quick? I see you're both on the Care Fund. Does everyone know what the Care Fund is? We take $5 out of each one of your checks for the Care Fund. Some people say they don't think that we should do that. They think it should be a volunteer system. And I just say unapologetically, I disagree with that. It's part of our company culture. The company, and before I sold the company, I think it'd be hard for anybody to look me in the eye and debate this. The company matches dollar for dollar. So every $5 that an agent's putting in per transaction, the company's matching. So we're putting, in this case now, over $100,000 a year into the Care Fund. And we're spending money pretty rapidly helping people. People that have cancer, people that have surgeries that are staying all night in hospitals. I mean, these type of things that are taking you away from work and so forth. And so we really believe that this is something that we're passionate about helping our own agents, our own family in times of need. But we've had legal counsel walk through this with us in the beginning. We've all signed confidentiality agreements. There's 9 of us. If we don't have 5, we can't have a meeting because we have to have at least 5 votes in one direction to make a decision on things. But we keep things confidential. So if you hear of people that are struggling, going through some of those type of things, please reach out to us so we can discuss that and see if we can help them. But that's the purpose. The purpose is really to help people. And I will get the number that we've helped from inception, and I'll get the number of what we've helped year to date. But it's a really big number. We've got people that are going through things in their life. A lot of them try to keep those things private. And so we like when you reach out to us and tell us about those things so we can help those people through those issues. You guys want to kind of talk about your take of the Care Fund? And you've been with us on it from the beginning, and Jason, you just started 6-7 months ago on it.
I feel like the thank you notes that we get are incredible, and how the assistance and the caring, I mean, that's so much a part of our BHHS and what Vince has started. People really appreciate it. It's just an unexpected dollar amount that they weren't expecting that can just help out with a plane ticket for a family member or whatever they might need. So everyone's very appreciative, and it's really heartwarming to help, and it's heartbreaking to see what some of our family goes through. So that's why the Care Fund was started.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'd only add, my initial skepticism with it was, well, there's agents here that do better than other agents. There's agents that struggle more than other agents. How is it decided who gets what and when and for what? That's kind of where the committee comes in. I think Vince hit on it. We don't really, I guess, put values, based on the income or the amount of business the agent does. But we have found that agents that do better, that do get these funds as a gesture, a lot of them will pay it back into the account or donate it, forward it, to another charity or the Sunshine Kids. So I think in overall, it's a nice feature of being here, and we have gotten a lot of validation from agents that really are struggling with a health problem or an accident, that this, really takes the edge off, for a month or two sometimes. So I guess I would, on behalf of the committee, just thank you guys for participating in this, and assure you that it's very carefully considered and not dealt with in a reckless way. So.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we, out of a sense of fairness, we can't say, well, this person makes this much money, so they don't need this. That's not what this is based on. This is based on, listen, if this is something that's happened to you in your life, the criteria is the action. Has it taken you away from work? Is it taking you away from your family, your ability to earn? Not, have you sold one house or have you sold 100 houses? So we try to do it out of a sense of fairness. And our response is, to Tricia's point, that the emotional outcry that we get from people reaching back out to us saying, thank you, you don't know how much this helped, is overwhelming. So please, offline, let's Brooke send out, I'll send out, I commit to you guys, we'll send out how much money we've handed out year to date, how much money we've handed out since inception, but also the 9 committee members on there. If you have any questions, reach out to any one of us. I'm always happy to talk about this with you if you have any questions on this. So thank you. But please know you are making a meaningful difference to a lot of people. It really does make a difference, and it really does matter. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. I did not have a lot on my agenda. Is there anything you guys want to talk about? I will tell you, it appears like why the first 3.5 months were very slow relative to last year. Obviously, the last quarter was very slow previous to the prior year. It appears that as we've headed into July, that the market is kind of extending a little. The market's not as good today as it was in the middle of April, but it looks at the end of June through the College World Series, and as we head into July, the markets continue to be fairly stable. We've not seen the same slowdown that we did see probably the past 3 or 4 years. So I think that's a good sign that maybe we'll continue to have a second half of the year that's much better than we've seen over the last 4 or 5. And so we do have sales rankings.
Woo!
So you want to start passing these? You ladies want to pass these out for me?
Silly. This is kind of a fuller room than I thought we may need more.
Well, we went from 12 to 25 since the meeting started here. So we do this both as individuals every quarter, and then we do everybody. If you're an individual, you can be on this sheet, and you can be on the total master sheet also. And so we have 81, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, looks like 86 or 7 people on this list. So to be on the top list, including teams and individuals, the criteria is after the first quarter you've had to do 2.5 million, 12 closed units, or 62,000 of GCI. Halfway through the year, which is what this list is based on, to be on this list, you would have had to close over 5 million, 25 units, or 125,000. So that 86 people that we have, or teams, are over that criteria: 5 million, 25 units, and 125,000 GCI. On the individuals, it's just cut in half. So on the individuals, basically year to date, you'd have to be over 2.4, which I think is actually supposed to be 2.5, Carrie. But that's what, it's supposed to be 2.5 million on the volume, but it's close enough. 12 and a half units and 62 and a half GCI. So that's what these lists are. Some people I know don't like these, but I will tell you, I'm shocked how many people call me on a regular basis. Do you have those rankings out? What number am I? I'm trying to move up to this number. I'm trying to get ahead of this person. How far is that person ahead of me? Now you know, okay? So the competitive spirit in me likes these things. I know not everybody loves these things, but this is one of these things we're going to continue to do because it's a board that allows you to know where you're at. What we do like is Berkshire Hathaway on a national level now sends out each quarter that tells you if you're in the top 100 just for that quarter. So if you hit that a couple quarters, you know you've got a fighting chance to be in the top 100 at the end of the year. So guys, that's it. Good Guy Award. Brooke, who's got the Good Guy Award? Yeah. Yes, Mike Miller. Mike, you here? Sunshine Kids Flip House. Fred or Shauna here? Where? I'm looking. No? So Flip House, we finally, after our third time down there, we've got the permit in process. We've got contractors hired. We're hoping to make $75,000 on this Flip House. So again, if you've got, I guess we're going to look for some volunteers for a couple things still, to do some painting and some stuff like that. But this house is going to be cool. It's down in Benson off of, what is it, 64th and Blondo or Maple? Blondo. So we'll keep giving you guys updates on that. But between that and the golf tournament, we're really hoping to raise $100,000 this year for the Sunshine Kids. Gail, you had a question on this?
No.
You had a question on something else?
I have 2 questions.
Yes.
Where are we at with the health insurance?
The health insurance. I just had this conversation. Scott and I just had this conversation yesterday with the lead legal counsel for Home Services. We're gonna call again. Let's get on the phone. Let's call Stuart. We are hoping to get the health insurance, and it's a health assurance program. It's a crossbreed of that. But Mutual of Omaha's been using this. Target's been using this. We've been pushing hard to get this done. We're trying to get through a lot of logistics. There's been questions going back and forth. I would hope it's reasonable to think in the next week or two, with the responses we've had back and forth, there's not a lot left to do. So the insurance part of this, we hope to have an answer real quick on this. We also do have, who's the commercial people? LoopNet and
Yes, CoStar.
And CoStar. When are they coming in?
Lunch and learn today.
Lunch and learn today. So, if you want lunch today, what's for lunch? Chipotle. Okay. CoStar will be coming in today. So if you have any interest, CoStar help me on this. Mike may have to help me on this. LoopNet is kind of the MLS type of system. The Zillow. CoStar is kind of the research for commercial properties. Right. Okay, so CoStar is going to be coming in. They're changing their programs to see to gauge what kind of interest and say, here's what kind of things that they have available. And they're creating a mini plan that's cheaper than the other plan because the CoStar plan has been pretty expensive. Right. So is that 11:30 or 12? 11:30 today. Here. So do we know, do we want to give Mike's Good Guy Award away? Do you know who he wants to give that to?
Yep.
You want to stand up and give that away?
Let's do it.
And then we'll get the award?
Perfect. So Mike Miller wanted to give this award away to Lisa Harris, because Lisa took the time to show him and how to hold the perfect open house and how to get leads from them, just held her hand. But really was a big step in his first open house, and she's always wanting to help everyone, helping everyone. So congrats, Lisa.
Congratulate Lisa when you see her. Very well deserved. Guys, do the little things. If you're not prospecting, take baby steps. Stop making excuses. Knock down the roadblocks. One last question, then we're done. Gail.
State of the real estate economy.
State of the real estate economy.
Scott.
Yeah, Scott, I'm going to have you help me write this. All right, guys, have a great day. Please don't forget, tomorrow, 4 to 7, Regency office. Love to have you guys there. Open house. It's a cool space. Thank you, thank you, thank you.